Welcome back to Fiercely Blessed, powered by Blessed Bananas. I am your host, Nadine Ramos, and I am here with the amazing Sandra Garcia, who's an inclusive marketing and diversity and inclusion consultant. Welcome, Sandra. How are you today?
I'm good. When I'm in your company, all is well. So thank you for having me, Nadine.
Oh, I am so excited to be here with you today and to talk a little bit about marketing strategy and really helping those who are in business and starting out and looking for ways to break into the market because it's hard, I have to say,
Art.
especially
Mhm.
with like social media today. Even having a beauty brand, I find ourselves kind of always having to evolve on a constant, and that takes resources. So I'm happy to pick your brain today to kind of cover some of these topics. Could you share a little bit with me how you determine success and failure as a
Mhm.
marketing and brand strategist?
Failure is part of the process. Entrepreneurship is packed with unexpected days. So you plan the day and then you also just expect for the unexpected to happen, which is also not just a everyday thing, but I think that's our lives as entrepreneurs. The pandemic was the biggest example of that. We all started 2020 thinking we were going to change the world. Everyone was going to make millions of dollars. And then boom, we're in a pandemic.
Yes.
So I started to say then, expect the unexpected. And in addition to expecting the unexpected, failure is part of the process.
Mm,
I say that experimenting often,
mhm.
failing fast, because if not, it could be costly. And then get closer to your desired outcome. My other thing is three R's. So
Okay.
create goals at the beginning of the year and then revisit, review, and revise as often as possible.
Yes.
Don't create goals and then just put them somewhere and don't ever look at them again.
Mhm.
But you have to revisit, review, make sure it still makes sense because a pandemic happens, the economy changes, who knows, things happen. And then you have to revise and just pivot, but be open to
Mhm.
the pivot.
I love that. That's such great advice. I feel sometimes we set goals, we're excited, we're passionate for the moment, and then we
Hmm.
get distracted by everything around us. And sometimes that goal ends up sitting on the back burner. And so it's important to revisit that. I love
Yeah.
your three R's and then
Yeah.
get
Three
ready to
R's.
revise it and pivot with it, right? It's a
Yeah,
must.
exactly.
So
Yeah, we're
good.
constantly learning, we're picking up new things.
Mhm.
So, as we're just navigating life in general, use what you're learning and what you're picking up from friends or the people around
Mhm.
you or
Mhm.
that news story you heard and leverage it to revise your goals. And the other thing I'll just add to that is if it's on the calendar, then it's a way to keep yourself accountable because we know life gets crazy. But if you say that the last week of
Mhm.
every quarter, that's going to be my time to revisit my goals. And you know, that's an opportunity or a time period when you'll do that.
I love that. Accountability is key, especially as the leader. It's like sometimes people are afraid to hold you accountable, and you have to be able to have that self discipline to keep yourself accountable. So, that's a great tool of having it on the calendar, committing to it, and getting it done. That's
Mhm.
awesome. Do you want to share a little bit about any adversities in your life that has led you to the success you hold today?
Yeah. So I was thinking about that and I was like, where do I start? I feel like life is full of its various different chapters. I'll reframe that and say, what were the pivotal moments that maybe charged my battery with
Yes.
grit, hunger, and a different level of passion and desire? First, I think it's rooted in who I am. I am from Honduras. I was born in Honduras, Central America. My parents were born in Honduras also. So definitely filled with that American dream. But saying that and being a child of immigrants and a little girl that was born in a different country, already I think you have that desire to just be better and
Mm,
to be great. And then as someone who loves their parents, I also don't want to disappoint them. Being a good student, pursuing a good education. Of course, I was supposed to be a doctor. My sister was supposed to be a lawyer. That didn't come true, but we doing all right. We don't got to ask them for money, so we doing okay. So I would say that is the first thing: grit,
Yes.
passion, purpose. Everything is done with purpose and intention because you're chasing success,
Mm.
whatever that may mean. And with that, there's so many things that are a part of my story that I think built resilience. My first language being Spanish, then starting the school system in the United States, being in bilingual schooling, and sometimes trying to say something, but it's coming out in partially Spanish. So then you kind of just build resilience to like
Mm.
not be perfect,
So
right?
good.
So
So
that's
good.
part of the story too. That perfection is just, it doesn't exist. But how close can you get to being able to effectively or get to as close to your goal as possible? And then again, you revise and you pivot as necessary. In addition to that, I would say my identity within itself. So I'm
Mhm.
Afro Latina. I say that I was cultural confusion for very long, and
Wow.
I didn't even realize this until I became an adult, until I began to be able to figure it out. So I think finding your place in the world has been something that I've maybe struggled with all of my life.
Mm.
So then when it came time for adulthood, adults are just really grown up people trying to figure it out as well. So I already had that level of resilience in, who am I to self and who am I to the world? And I get to define that. And sometimes I can change that from room to room. I can be, very Latina, very Caribbean. What do you want me to be in this room? So I can
Mm.
adapt really well. I had to be very conscious of my own existence in different rooms because I got asked, but as a 7-year-old, who are you? What are you?
Mm.
So I think that definitely equipped me and prepared me with certain things that I would later use. So then again, I was supposed to be that doctor,
Mhm.
parent expectations and then trying to make them happy. So I was pre-med neuroscience and realized I hate this. The world today is grateful that I'm nobody's doctor. You're welcome, everyone. It would have been bad.
Oh my goodness, that's hilarious.
It would have been a terrible situation. Don't push your children into things that they're just not naturally gifted at
Oof.
doing.
So good. So
But
good.
anyway, so just looking at my natural behavior, I loved celebrity culture. I loved fashion. I loved beauty. In college, I spent time on people.com. At the time, we still consumed magazines. So I would
Yes.
go pick up a People Style watch and see what they wore last night or what they wore last week to the galas.
Uh-huh.
So looking at just my natural behavior, I was like, oh, I love this.
Mm.
So let me see if I can create a life doing this. Fast forward a few years later, I ended up working at people.com. So that was a
What?
full circle story. But the takeaway there is to pursue your passions.
Mhm.
You have to pursue your own dreams, not the dreams that other people have for you. And just taking that on in my early 20s, that became to define how I started to make decisions that led me to entrepreneurship today.
Mm.
Being one, honest with myself about what actually feels good. What does it mean to create a life that not only looks good but feels good? That became really important at
Mhm.
one point in time. It doesn't matter if it looks good if you feel like crap living it
Yes.
every day.
Yes.
That influenced my decision to leave corporate America. I worked at some pretty cool places. Everybody loved my jobs but me. CNN Money, parents love that. They love telling people their child worked at CNN Money. I
Yes.
hated it. I was at Time Warner. People were impressed by that.
Yes.
People were impressed that I worked on integrated projects with Essence and
Mhm.
In Style, Entertainment Weekly. But I wanted to grow, and I was, being placed into a box of what all I could do. So went out into full-time entrepreneurship. Ooh, and then all the struggles started there.
Yeah.
And I also do have to share from a space of vulnerability. I shortly went through a failed marriage. That was another charge to my battery pack
Yeah.
because, I left this comfortable salary.
Wow.
Now I'm, dependent on myself. That salary no longer exists. And now I have to figure out how to do life on my own. At the time, me being who I am, I was also like, I'm not going back. I'm
Mhm,
going to have to figure this thing out. I
mhm.
already made a commitment. I made a commitment to do this entrepreneurship thing. I'm not going to go back. That was definitely the push and the motivation that I needed for myself
Mhm.
to make sure that what I say I'm going to do, what I say I am, the impact I'm going to have on this world, that I'm going to do it. And also, I don't want to be poor.
Yes.
So we need to make this work. That was another fuel, like to the fire, to just make sure entrepreneurship worked for me shortly after the pandemic hit.
Mm,
And now you really got to make life work for yourself and
yes.
life happen. So those are just quite a few things that I feel have propelled me into just seeing that things are successful by any means necessary.
I want to run and just hug you. I I had I never heard your story before. And I know this is just a small snippet of it. And it's
Hmm.
just so powerful and inspiring. I have to say, I am impressed that you have always remained true to yourself, even as a little girl, figuring out identity, trying to please your parents, being in corporate and having this success, but you weren't happy. You remained
No.
true to
Hmm.
yourself over the years. I think a lot of us need to tap into that. And it is hard,
Oh, yeah.
but when we
Hmm.
can discover who we are and stay true to who we are and make decisions based on knowing who we are and what we want and what's good to us, what would be good for us, is so important. And I think that's what makes a very strong entrepreneur, because then there's less wavering because you already figured out who you are. And then your yes becomes yes and your no becomes no.
Oh, it becomes very clear. I still practice that. Like I protect my space. I say balance and boundaries, and I say no often. And also knowing your personality style. I'm an introvert, working extrovert, and I know that I'm a working extrovert. And being so clear on that, I
Mhm.
know when I'm tapped out. I know when I just need to be home. And I feel okay saying no, and I don't feel any kind of guilt not
Yes.
being able to show up to certain things.
That's important. It could become overwhelming saying yes to
Yeah.
everything and
Mm-hmm.
it becomes unbalanced. Everything that you mentioned, I know I feel that way now. So thank you again for your vulnerability.
Thank you. Well, you brought it out, and I feel like you're a girlfriend, right?
Mhm,
So, in having girlfriend conversations, being honest is also important. I
mhm,
had to go through a time period where I had to reevaluate what even my girlfriend, what that roster looked like. If we're not there for each other during our hard times, can I really call you a girlfriend?
mm,
Because one thing I realized at one point in time is that the social friends, that's cool, but that's not what I need right now.
right.
So girlfriends comes with meaning, with purpose and intention, and there has to be some weight to that.
Girl, you're just dropping gems. Let me tell you, I've
All
always,
our relationships matter, especially
all
our
of them.
intimate relationships. Yeah.
All of them. But as women, we're so relational. I believe we were born to be this way,
Hmm.
where we're very relational, and having real girlfriends is important. I too had like an array of friendships of like social, everyone played a part,
Hmm.
but there were very few that were true girlfriends where we could be
Hmm.
vulnerable together, really pour it out and have that true support where it's like no underground hating, right? Because
Hmm.
there's some friends
Absolutely.
like that. So I had God filtered out a whole lot of people from my life. And I see now that I have a small group that is the core of my friendships. And it's edifying. When we're together, it's like we're building each other up. The conversations are
Hmm.
meaningful. It
Food for the soul.
Yes,
Yes.
we fill each
Hmm.
other's cups up, and that for me is worth it. It's like you said, we have to be intentional with our time and who we're giving access to. We have to make sure those people are there to truly love on us, support us, and build us up because that's what we do in return.
Absolutely. And that's part of the boundaries too.
Yes.
Having friendships that are also at various different ranges,
Hmm.
and not everyone has the same level of access or
Right.
same level of intimacy, because some things are things that we need to protect for
For
our
safety.
own safety and sanity as well.
Hmm.
So even, yeah, friendships and who we choose as our partners as
Yes.
well. Like that's a whole nother
Oh,
episode.
yes. That's a podcast in its own right there, girl.
Hmm.
Are there any marketing advice you can give to a viewer who is looking to break into their market?
Something that applies to everyone is that sometimes we overcomplicate things. And yes, it is a skill, but marketing is really communicating and building an emotional connection with your audience. And in order to do that, you must know exactly who your audience is. Who are you talking to? Who are you communicating with? Because it's having a dialogue and it's a two-way street. For there to be emotional connection, there has to be a relationship. So when you think about marketing, think
I'm
about what is
writing
this
this down. I'm
relationship?
sorry.
Yes. What is this relationship that you're looking to build? How are you going to nurture the relationship? And what does this dialogue and communication look like? And then, like every relationship, you have to be consistent. So, consistency is key and you must show up. So, how do you show up and where do you show up? In which ways do you show up? So, think about marketing as a relationship and it'll change your frame of mind for how
Yes.
it's done.
Sandra, that was girl, that is so good. I mean, I do seminars, I listen in, we do
Mhm.
events, we go to so many different things, right? Because marketing is forever changing. But you simplified it in a way where I've never heard it this way before. Like
Let me
I'm
coin that.
dead I'm dead serious. The whole relationship part of it is
Mhm.
key. And it's like thinking about maybe the customer as that one customer,
Yep. Hmm.
building the relationship, getting to know them, nurturing the relationship, inspiring the relationship,
Hmm.
right? And then keeping it healthy by staying consistent and showing up.
Yep, exactly. The other thing
Girl,
that we hear when it comes to relationships is the 80-20 rule, right? I say the same thing when it comes to marketing. So 80% of the time, you're focused on information, education, inspiration, just building with
yes,
your customer. And then you earn the right to sell to your customer, which is 20%. Who likes to be sold to? No one. No one likes going into the store and having someone follow you around and say, buy
yes,
this,
so
or
annoying.
going, the whole used car salesman analogy. No one likes that. We don't want to be that person either. So you earn the right to share promotional information with.
That is such an amazing takeaway. Again, I've heard so many different marketing strategies and different methods, but again, as simple as you put it and as relatable, and we can all relate to this because it's relationship based. This right here is an amazing gem that you have given us. And I cannot wait to use it. My brain is already going. I'm like, I already see how I can implement this to my brand. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for creating the space, the platform, the connections.
Oh,
Thank you. You're the
yes.
mastermind.
All right, one last question, and I love to ask all my guests, what is one way you feel blessed in your life today?
I'm in a bit of a high right now. I'm
Mhm.
getting married next week.
What?
I know I didn't even tell you this. I'm telling you now.
OMG, congratulations. I knew
Thank
you were
you.
engaged,
Yes.
but oh, look at
Hmm.
that rock. He
He
did
did good.
good. He did so good. Okay, so you're getting married next week.
Yeah, so June 1 is the date. So we got engaged January 1.
Nice.
So I'm like June 1, we're at that halfway point. Why
Yes,
wait? To me, I feel like I'm married to him already.
yes.
So I just feel like life, not just to me looks good because I also am very protective of it in
Hmm.
these days also, but it
Yes.
feels just so good. But I just feel blessed. I feel like I've done my inner work.
Yes.
And now I'm in a space where I can share myself and share love in a very authentic, healthy way with someone. And I found someone who is worth all of it and gives me that in return. So just blessed.
Oh, so beautiful. You are truly blessed, and you are a blessing to so many of us. I'll never forget meeting you for the first time. We did a Google event.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so nervous, and you made me feel so calm. And there is this calmness and peace about you that you give. And I remember vividly feeling that way with you on that stage. And then, my second most memorable memory with you is the one where we were in Jamaica
I know.
and you pushed me to share my story. Oh, again, this peace and calmness about you. I think it's one of your gifts, one of your many gifts, is that you give that to people, and it's like you have this trusting ability, and it's beautiful to be around you. It's comfortable to be around you, and so I just want to say thank you for always being authentic, a great support, and always a kind soul. And I'm so happy for all that God has in store for your life. This new beautiful union that you're going to experience, and all the future success that awaits for you.
Thank you. Oh, you're such a blessing. Thank you.
Well, that concludes today's show. Thank you again for being on with us, and we will see you again, I hope.
Yes, invite me back. We'll have more
Absolutely.
authentic conversations.
Yes.